Studio 41 Football Recap Live is brought to you by Studio 41 Home Design Showroom. 13 locations, studio41.com. Vertical, in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Verticalchimney.com. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. Hey, welcome into Studio 41 Football Recap Live with Tom Waddle and Olin Kreutz. I'm David Kaplan here in our recap studios. Bears find a way, man. 25-24 on a Jake Moody field goal to walk it off over the Commanders in Washington, D.C. last night. Our Four Seasons game day breakdown. I want to talk about the Bears' ability to run the football and Caleb Williams' performance last night. Will start with their ability to run the ball. I know both of you, Tommy and Olin, have watched the game film. OG, your thoughts on what you saw from the offensive line, and did you see an effect having Theo Benedette in as opposed to Braxton Jones, or there was no measurable difference to you?
Yeah, really good question about the run game. And I thought throughout the whole team, it showed that the Chicago Bears went through their bye week and they said, look, we're going to ask the guys to do what they're good at, right? We may even – I think Coach Johnson said after the game that they cut out some of the run game. They took out something. They simplified a lot of things, cut their playbook down. And you could see they were asking the guys to do what they're good at, Tom, and asking Swift to run the plays that he runs well. And maybe even making a deal with him. Like, look, we'll give you a couple toss cracks. The play that, Darnell Wright's pulling in front of him, they call that toss crack. Tom would be the receiver cracking the DN. I'm sure they would have used Tom back in the day because you got to have a little toughness and grittiness to get that block done, which DJ Moore did. And then, athletic tackle pulling in front. And then say, okay, we'll give you those, but when you hit it between the tackles, man, you got to hit it for us. And they did. And then they asked the center, Dahlman, to do what he does well, which is reach guys on zone blocks. And it just looked like, to me, Cap, that they were working well together. And that went out to the whole team, that they really went to the bye week. And I was shocked, man, because how much can you get accomplished nowadays during the bye week? What were their improvements that they were looking to do? And they got it done, which tells me this, Tom. This coaching staff for this week, I don't want to go overboard, but they can identify what their real problems are and then get them fixed.
Yeah, and Olin, I saw some of your comments in the postgame show as well. It's like, look, I think as you described it, I don't want to misquote you, but said that they can repeat this. If you continue to do this, and you ask guys to do what they do well, it's something that you can go into next Sunday and the Sunday after that and kind of repeat this type of performance. Look, I think that's such a great point, Olin. Like, how much can you really accomplish in a bye week? Well, I think what they did was they identified the things that all of their guys are good at, and they accentuate them, and they try to get rid of the things that they can't do. Over the course of a season, obviously the wins and losses are what's most important. But I think especially for a young team that's trying to build, how you win or how you lose, to me, can really resonate with me for the long run. And look, you could speak to the offensive line 1,000 times better than me. What I was really encouraged to see as well, from my perspective, is I saw the wide receivers getting involved in the running game. And it starts with being a willing participant.
Luther Burden, especially.
Well, and like even DJ, I thought DJ, over the last couple of weeks has been more engaged in the run game, and I think Zacchaeus did some nice things. I think Rome has been involved as well. When you get past that first level, it's up to the wide receivers in a lot of ways to try to create some space and get you, instead of an 8-yard gain, and get you a 15-yard gain and a 17-yard gain. And the only reason I mention it is because I think the message is resonating with these guys that, look, if we aren't all pulling on the same end of the rope, we're not going to get anywhere, especially with the run game. And you got to be a willing participant, and no block, no rock. And that's meaningful to me. And, I said this several weeks ago. When they played the Lions, you put on the tape. And what I saw from from that game was, I see a Lions team that is, obviously more talented at this point. But I saw a want-to that the Lions had that maybe the Bears didn't have in week 2. And I think that the gap between how the Lions play and how the Bears play, especially out on the perimeter with the wide receivers and getting involved in the running game, I think that the gap is kind of closed. And I think that, the message was received. And I see a better effort from the guys on the edge. And I think it's a big reason why. Look, if you told me, Olin, that the Bears were going to outrush the Washington Commanders in this game, I would have called you crazy. And that's exactly what they did. And huge reason why. Again, as I say, the W is most important, but how they won. I thought that they were the better team at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And I can't sit here and tell you I wasn't surprised, because I was. So tip of the cap to everyone involved, the coaches, the players, but they came out of the bye. They cleaned up some shit, and they were a much different looking team from my perspective last night than they had been the previous few weeks.
Both of you guys played for a long time and played through injury. Tommy out on the edge, Olin right in the trenches. And you told me, I remember having this conversation at NBC Sports Chicago. You said there are moments where you get a stinger or whatever it is you get. You don't know where you're at, and you just find a way to get off the ground and get up for the next play. Darnell Wright is playing, from what I've been told, is a torn ulnar collateral ligament. A baseball player would be out for a year and a half with Tommy John surgery. I see him out there yesterday. And again, O-line play a billion times better than me. It looked to me like that dude was engaged, locked in. He had one block on the edge where he got 2 guys with one block. I thought it was great. How hard is that for what he's doing to be as injured as he is, to be as effective as he was?
It's not easy. It's not easy to do. And, good players play hurt and great players play drunk, but that's a whole nother era. Listen, as far as Darnell Wright, I think he's done this a few times, right, where he does not come out of the game, no matter what injury he has. And we all saw, I think I was expecting him, because I had heard the rumor that you had heard, Cap, for him to be out this week. And all of a sudden he was up limited, and then he was full. And you're like, man, this guy is going to go for his teammates. And that's how – I don't know how you feel, Tom, but that's to become a leader, man. You're just going to put it on the line for your teammates. I want to play through this. Not easy to go out there. Now, listen, you can't pitch with that, but you can play offensive line with that. It's his outside arm. Good thing he has his inside arm. He shows you how much talent and athletic ability that he has when he moves around, uses his feet. Big man, he can absorb things. Really good football player. Last night was a really good performance by him, Cap. And a tip of the cap and respect to him for going out and playing with that elbow that he has. Because, look, we all know in the NFL the sayings when you're in your contract year and looking for a contract, right? No film is better than bad film, and all those things that people tell you. Here's a young guy going out there, and he wants to play next to his offensive line guys in the huddle with his guys, leading them, and then leading the charge at the end of the game to get that yardage for Moody to kick that kick.
Tommy, let me interject this as well. I want to recognize another guy who I thought prior to the Raiders game had really done a really nice job, and that's Cole Kmet. And against the Raiders, he struggled mightily with the passing game, the running game, all of it. And I really like players that find adversity and find an answer to that adversity. And I thought Cole out there last night did a really nice job helping them in the running game. I think he played with a lot of intensity. He played so much better than I think he did against the Raiders. And, I think that the little things like that are really, I think that's leadership as well. How do you play? How do you respond to the adversity? In a lot of ways, it's self-created. But I thought, and again, the tight ends haven't been a huge part of the passing game. I think they're using their wide receivers significantly more. Colston, Loveland, and Cole, I think combined have been targeted less than 30 times. I think Zacchaeus has been targeted more than the two of them combined. Maybe that will change as the year goes on. But I just think it's important to recognize guys who struggle at some point, but find a way to pick themselves up and respond to that adversity. And I saw Cole do that last night.
In terms, I heard on the NFL Network, I was driving in early this morning, like 4:30, and I had on the XM88 channel, and one of their analysts said that he compared the Bears' offensive line. He said that night, Monday night, he said they looked to me like a symphony, like they were playing together, and it was this beautiful harmony. He said, in the past, I thought it was like five guys all grabbed a guitar and tried to make music. Is that a fair analogy, you think, Olin?
Yeah, credit goes to Coach Dan Rochar, right? For like we talked about, going to the bye week and say, okay, we got to fix these mental mistakes. We got to learn how to work games off. We got to learn how to play together. And I think you see that with Joe Tooney and Dahlman and Jackson and Darnell Wright. And you asked me earlier about Theo, and I skipped over. And what a game he had, man. And, of course, he's going against Jacob Martin, ex-Bear. We all know he's not a great defensive end, but he's just the kind of guy, Tom, that you watch. It shows you a lot of guys that, look, man, if you'll go out there and give everything, do what your coach tells you to do, put yourself in position to make the block, make the guy beat you on every play, right? Don't do anything out of character. Just come off the ball as hard as you can. Go to the guys you're supposed to go to. Get in somebody's way. And if they run you over, like he did get run over last night by Louvu, make them run you over. Get to your spot and make them go through you. And he does a tremendous job, man. His kick step, he gets out of his stance even faster than Darnell Wright. He's a good enough athlete. He works really hard at what he does. And I think that piece they added in, along with the bye week and fixing the things and asking the guys to do what they're good at, Cap. And I think these guys did a lot of work, it looked like, during the bye week on the offensive line. And, I'm sure we'll get to it. But the defensive line, what they did to fix their run defense is amazing to me. So it was just really fun to watch, because that Cap, you want to talk about sympathy. Those guys, their run fits, man. The way they corrected that was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the running game, from so many different fronts, I would even, I look at some of the stuff they did, and I would ask Olin, they ran a lot of 11 personnel, and they had been a heavy 12 personnel team going into the bye. Coming out of the bye, I'm not going to lie, I was a little shocked at how much 11 personnel they ran, but then they were so efficient with running the football out of that look. Yeah. Was it something that they saw that they thought they could kind of exploit? And it looked like to me, and maybe that's the style of defense that they play up front with Washington, is a lot of slanting, a lot of movement. And I thought that they did a really nice job up front using the Commanders' aggression against them. But I was more than surprised that when they kind of, they ran as much 11 personnel as they did, to have the success that they did running the football. It was obviously something that they saw and something that they worked on, Olin.
It was, and I would argue that Colston Loveland's 11 personnel anyway, but that's a whole nother argument. But listen, what they did, Tom, I thought when I watched it was they used all those receivers and stuff. They made the motions complicated, but the run game simple. So the O-line's job doesn't change no matter what's going on behind them, right? But they know the count may change because of motion. But what that allows you to do is fake the jet sweep, fake the reverse, do all the things that you want to do, insert a receiver somewhere else, make him a lead blocker, which, like you're saying, the receivers have to be willing. And Antoine Randall has got these guys buying in, has got these guys blocking for one game. They did a really nice job with what I thought they simplified it for the O-line and made it complicated for the guys that you could watch. You don't see Bobby Wagner confused a lot, the middle linebacker for the Commanders. His run fits were off because his studying that he did that they had on film, they changed all that. So all the keys he had, he was feeling wrong. The one big run they had off the left side with Swift, he was in the wrong gap. Bobby Wagner was, because usually with that motion, they're cutting the ball back. So they did a really nice job studying their tendencies, making the run game simple for the offensive line, complicated behind with motions and shifts and other things that they can do to put some eye candy on their run game.
Yeah, I think Cap too. I think we've given a lot of credit to Ben Johnson. I think, as Olin mentioned a little bit earlier, I think Dennis Allen did a fabulous job as well, making some adjustments and slowing down that Commander running game.
All right, we'll get into more of that. The Dr. Pepper play of the game. It is the fumble on the exchange between Jaden Daniels and Bill Krosky Merritt, and that led to the game-winning kick. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears, pleasing your taste buds since 1885. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper at a McDonald's near you. I'm a huge fan of the Monday night broadcast. Like, I really enjoy Buck and Aikman. That said, I thought Troy Aikman had a really horseshit night last night. I thought he sucked. I really did. I'm watching this game, and well, Caleb Williams doesn't do this, and Caleb Williams can't do that, and, well, it's wet, so that's why Jaden fumbled the football. Shut the hell up. Like, that dude was so freaking biased last night, it drove me nuts. Did you guys get that vibe or no?
I got the vibe that maybe he's not a big fan of what the Chicago Bears are doing. We got to be honest with you. If I turned the film on before last night's game, I'm not a huge fan either. I didn't think they were very good going to the game. I had them losing 31-17. So that would have been my storyline going into the game. The way you study film, I didn't think they were going to beat them. I didn't think they were going to create 3 more takeaways, right? They're on to 11 now in 3 games. It's almost unheard of, right? It's crazy. So there's 3+ takeaways a game in 3 games. So when you watch their film, you just think, well, the Commanders are probably going to blow this team out. And that didn't happen. So I think he was going on the way that he thought the Commanders were going to win. He thought Jaden Daniels was going to perform well. And the Commanders were. I thought that a lot of it, even though it may offend you, I thought some of it was honest. I thought some of his feedback was very, very honest about what was actually going on in the game, what we were seeing from both quarterbacks. I mean, obviously he wasn't as hard on Jaden Daniels with the pick and the drop fumble and some of the things that he was missing in his own game. But I wasn't that offended by it. I'm like you, Cap. As soon as the game starts, me and my family turn to major meatballs, and we're just Bears fans, and I'm screaming for the Bears to win. So I was swearing at Troy a little bit, but when I thought about it, some of the stuff he said was true, but I mean, I don't mind. I was telling him to shut the F up too half the time.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Ben Johnson talked about it a little bit today. So he got up early to see his kids off to school, even though they didn't get home till 4 o'clock in the morning. And he came down. He said, my kids are watching the second half of the game. And he heard some of Troy Aikman, and he wasn't pleased. And then Patrick Finley said, what are your thoughts on Troy Aikman? He goes, I had it on mute. He goes, nah, I think you heard something. He goes, look, you have to earn respect in this league, and we just have to earn it. He was smart. He didn't engage in a war. He absolutely heard it. And Caleb posted something on TikTok at 4 o'clock in the morning, taking a shot. Yeah.
The hardest I laughed last night, I don't know what you guys felt like, was when Coach Johnson did his halftime interview. That's the hardest I laughed because he was so stoic. He was trying to control himself.
From the last It was funny.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok at 4 a.m., Cap, and quite frankly, I don't give a shit what they say. You know, I took my dog out. My dog's 16. She can't see. She can't hear. I could take her out back and still see the TV, so I didn't hear what Troy had to say about the fumble. But, look, I mean, look, if you're a Bears fan, you're always going to feel like the announcers are against you. Okay, so, like, I mean, I get that. I thought some of the quarterback criticism in the first half was valid. I did, you know, like one of the things that I thought was so great about this win was I didn't think Caleb had his fastball. I thought Caleb was a very, had a fine game. He's fine, but he wasn't great, wasn't horrible, but yet they still found a way to win the game without your quarterback having his fastball. I thought the first half of the game, there were several plays. I thought in the first drive, there was a play deep to Rome that he let the ball go late. He did not get the ball out where it needed to be. He and Zacchaeus were not on the same page a couple of times where, Zacchaeus was sitting down in his zone and Caleb basically was throwing the route a little bit ahead of him. I thought that was a mistake. I think if you go a little further in the game, a back was wide open in the end zone on the 2-point conversion. I thought there was a pass that Caleb threw in the red zone that Mikey Sandestrel, dropped, basically just went up to catch it. look, I didn't think it was Caleb's best day. I didn't think he was horrible. I thought he got jobbed on the call with Benedict in terms of the illegal formation. I thought that was a great throw. He made a great throw from flat feet to a crossing route to Burden. I think there was some really good stuff, but I didn't think it was Caleb's best effort, and yet they still found a way to win the game. So,
was the Benedict call in your mind legit? Because Yurko was talking on the post game where he said that he has to be lined up equal to basically the rear end of the center.
His head, yes.
His head. And he
has to break the rear end of the center.
And he said he thought he was, and he thought it was a horseshit call. What did you think?
I think Troy did a nice job putting a yellow line on his head and a yellow line on the center's butt, and we all could see that it was a bad call. So, going back to Tom, I thought that design right after I think it was the Brisker's interception, the one you're talking about, he underthrew Rome. That was an amazing design by Coach Johnson. I think they brought him in motion, and he came free, man. And you don't expect Caleb to underthrow Rome. I agree with Tom about the criticism about Caleb's game, and it wasn't his greatest game. The one thing I did like, though, was that Caleb, he got the ball in his playmakers' hands, because we talked so much about when he came out of college that he just always played out of system and wanted to run around and throw the ball. I thought in this game, I think it was 3rd and 20 after the Colston Loveland pass interference. And he checks it down to DJ Moore. DJ Moore gets 12 yards, and they kick a field goal. Yeah. Smart football there, right? And then finding Colston Loveland in 3rd and 5 late in the game before they started running the ball. Remember, it was 3rd and 5, and Colston Loveland sits in and he played quarterback from the pocket. And Zacchaeus catches that ball, he ends with probably almost 300 yards passing, right? So I know that I see the footwork. We see the problem. Sanders still should have intercepted that ball. He threw it right at him. I think he faked the pitch and came back and just assumed nobody was there. But if he does have that Superman still in his back pocket, along with what he's trying to do, he's trying to play quarterback from the pocket, as Ben Johnson is asking him to do. I've left a little impressed with that game. The only thing that really worries me when I watch the Bears, I told Cap this on the phone, is that you in these games, the last 2 games, I think you're +7 or something, and you won by 1 point in each game. I think they're +6 with the Max Crosby interception.
Yeah.
That worries me a little bit. Like, I got to go back and watch the film and figure out how you're only winning by 1 point when you're +6.
Yeah.
Fair question.
You go back to the Sandestro play as well, and it's just a double slant, the reads to the outside. And you go to the 4th and 1, and I know there were some people that didn't want them to go for it. They wanted to kick. I got no problem with the aggressiveness. If you want to argue that they should have run the ball, I'll have the conversation with you. The play was designed well. If you look at the film, Caleb just held the ball too long, and he actually threw the ball into coverage with Luvu, and Rome was open a little bit earlier. So again, I'm not trying to bang on Caleb about this. I thought, to Olin's point, I thought he did a really nice job getting the ball out. And the 250 yards that he threw for, a lot of it was run after the catch. It was screens. They ran the screen well. They had a wide receiver screen. Obviously the 55-yard catch of DeAndre Swift. You play 17 games in this league before the postseason. Not every game are you asking your quarterback to go out there and throw for 350 yards and be Superman. And I thought there were a lot of situations where Caleb took what the defense was giving them. I just thought it was a game where your running game and your defense with stopping the run and taking the ball away, those guys carried they were the ones that were asked to carry the heavy load, and they did it quite well.
Player of the game brought to you by Apt ABT in Glenview, my favorite store in the world. There's a promo code for you, RECAP25, REKAP 25 will save you $25. Any purchase of $150 or more. We gave it to DeAndre Swift, 14 carries, 108 yards, 2 catches, 67, including the 55-yard touchdown that got the Bears right back in the game at pleasing people since 1936. What'd you guys?
Are you going to get off his ass for at least a week? I mean, just a week? That's all we asked for.
I'm never on his ass. I demand excellence. Why do you think I have you two guys? I get excellence.
Cap, it's like Troy Aikman and even us before this 3-game win streak. Everybody's always Olin. Why are you so negative on the Bears? They lost 11 out of the last 12, guys. Like, what do you want me to say? when I come on, just like with Swift, right? I mean, great game. We'll honor you then, but he has to keep that going. We see him sometimes where all of a sudden, he did a great Jahmyr Gibbs impersonation last night, man. I mean, that was an amazing game to watch him play. But me and Tom both played in the NFL, and you get a week off and you come back fresh and you come back guns a-blazing, man. You got to do it again, and then you got to do it again, and then you got to do it again. But last night, man, he was fun to watch play football, fighting for extra yards between the tackles, making guys miss outside the tackles. He looked like a premier NFL back last night, and that was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's funny. Touchdown on the sideline, Tommy, where he kind of throttled it down and then boom, gone. Yeah. 88 out of the gate.
I give DeAndre a ton of credit. I think he was your player of the game. Quite honestly, do I think he's the second coming of Barry Sanders? I don't. But the stats are the stats. In about nearly 600 carries in his first 4 years with the Lions and then the Eagles, he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. In his time with the Bears before last night, he's averaged 3.7. Again, I think he's, a decent back. He's probably middle of the road. What's the difference? The Lions have an elite passing, run blocking scheme. So do the Eagles. The back, in a lot of ways, is only as good as his offensive line. And I thought that the offensive line, as well as DeAndre played last night, I thought it was a direct result of the fact that there was a ton of space in front of him. Give him credit. He hit the holes. He played hard. As Olin said, he ran, he ran with purpose. But last night, as far as I could see, there was a hell of a lot more room to run than there had been in the previous game. So as I tip my cap to DeAndre, I tip my cap to that offensive line and the tight end for creating space.
Hey,
no doubt. And I would faint if Cap gave the player of the game ball to the offensive line, since he never wants to draft one or sign one. But anyway, moving on from that.
You dare go there.
All right. Geez, did you wag your finger too with the "don't you dare"? Listen,
he did.
His like Tom is saying, right? The Lions that year, they were the best offensive line in the league. The Eagles were the best offensive line in the league. That's what we're watching with DeAndre Swift. When these holes get a little smaller, when sometimes you got to make your own 2 or 3 yards. Keep us in second, keep us in 33, right? 33, 34, not 38 and 39. That's when this game was going to change a little bit. It'll be interesting as we go, man. But Cap, to your point, last night, what a game for him.
Yeah, and Tommy, I was on the phone with Olin the other day, and he asked me who I would have drafted between. You took Adunze with the 9th pick, you took Burden, you took Colston Lovell. I said to him, I would have taken one of the receivers, and everything else I would have poured into offensive and defensive line. I might have tried to trade in front of New Orleans instead of taking Loveland to get Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas.
I couldn't argue with that, and get a pass rusher. Jared Verse, I don't know where he ultimately went for the
I think he went 16.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the board,
That guy's a monster.
Monster.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So, look, they've decided that they're going to go with the shiny toys. So they better deliver. The end of the day, again, I go back to what I said at the start. They won that game last night, in my humble opinion, not because of all of the fantastic weapons they have out on the edge. They won at the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line got the best of the Commanders' defensive front, and you flip it around, and they did a fabulous job slowing down what the Commanders do on the ground. If you would have told me again that the Bears were going to outrush the Commanders in this game, I would have called you crazy, and that's what happened.
By the way, the co-player of the game is the Bears' offensive line.
Oh my God. Finally, O-line dinner at Sukasa.
That's it.
The one thing I do like from watching this game is the one thing we heard about Ben Johnson when he came in is that he has a plan. He knows what it looks like, and he wants to implement that plan and change the team through his vision, which every head coach wants to do, right? And just when you watch film and stuff, sometimes you're watching, you think, okay, what plan are they seeing, right? What are they actually thinking about? Because that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Last night's game was the first time I turned on the Bears film in a while, Tom, and I see you nodding your head already because I'm sure you felt the same way, Cap. And I thought, gosh, this makes a lot of sense. Even if it didn't work, what they were trying to do made a lot of sense to me. feeling the way they try to run the ball, what they were asking guys to do, even on the defense side of the ball. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that. I don't want to waste a whole segment, but I want to say it about Ben Johnson that just for a night on film, it was that, there's the guy everybody's been talking about.
Our Special Olympics Illinois special teams play of the game. It's Jake Moody's 38-yard field goal that won the football game. 4 for 5 in field goals for the day in not ideal conditions with the rain, especially late. When voices tell us you can't or won't, we simply say, I did. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. I will be at their gala next week. Really looking forward to their Champions Gala for Special Olympics. So Jake Moody said he found out early in the day, hey, Cairo's not going to be able to go. You're in. And he gave a lot. I thought it was super cool. On his biggest day of his career, he gave credit to Cairo Santos because he made the trip. And he said, that guy talked with me throughout the night. Here's how I've kicked in this building. Here's what the wind does. Here's what the turf is like. He said, and it really helped him on the game-winning kick, which tells me guys are bought in about, not about me. It's about the team. It's about winning. But that kick, go back. I know you guys have watched it a billion times. The snap was a little high and a little up. Torrey Taylor did a really good job to catch it here and get it down, and the Bears win the football game. Your guys' thoughts?
I know you want to talk about kickers, Olin. You go first.
I know. I almost fell asleep through the whole dissertation about the Cairo and him and their roommates. And listen, Moody knew he was kicking. I don't want to ruin the whole story, but they knew Cairo was hurt, and that's why he was brought up off practice squad. But good job, man. Good job hitting the kick from, what was it, like 22 yards? Great. I mean, awesome, bro.
30.
All right. I mean, listen, the O-line got the ball down there. I mean, I could have straight told that through the upright.
Oh, wow.
A great story. Really, really great story.
And Tommy, the catch of the snap, says Vince, is why you take a punter in the 4th round.
Yeah, okay. Look, I've seen wilder snaps in my life. That's damn sure.
Cap's got a bad snap on it all of a sudden. I don't know how that happened. I got to ask Pat Manley. I got to ask Pat if the snap was bad. I don't know. I got to ask an expert.
And it was wet out.
It wasn't at the head level. I mean, it's shoulder pad level. I mean, listen, it's a good story. I'm not going to lie. When they signed Jake, I was like, really? I mean, go back in his first couple of years with San Francisco, he was 16 of 29 from 40 and beyond. And I was like, oh shit, but kickers are strange when they find a new atmosphere and they find a new team. Sometimes it all kind of gets in line, but I was just afraid he was going to kick it into the ass of his center the way he did on the other 48 yards.
Oh God. All right. We got to take a timeout. We'll come right back. More to do on Studio 41 Football Recap Live with Olin and Tommy. Be right back.
Our family had been talking about redoing the kitchen for a long time. Studio 41 had all the pieces I wanted.
With Studio 41, we found their prices competitive. They helped us stay on a budget.
They spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I got to touch and feel things.
Our big fear was if you go online, who's standing behind the product? Studio 41 had the best selection, and they took her ideas and brought it to life.
It was everything I dreamed it could be.
Visit studio41.com to find a showroom near you.
Okay, we're just here for dishwashers.
Just a dishwasher.
All right, here's our Hooters winging it. Best wings in the city. Caleb Williams, number 17 of 29, 252 yards, a touchdown, 4 carries for a -2 yards, was sacked 3 times. By the way, go to originalhooters.com. Find one of the 11 Chicagoland locations near you. We'll be in Orland Park next Tuesday night, the 21st. Looking forward to that. Olin, you watched the tape. You
Yep.
start. How would you grade? Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. I got the Chevy drive of the game, and then I'll get your thoughts on Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 drives, 3 plays, 61 yards down, 24-16. DeAndre Swift, 55-yard touchdown after the Bears were down 8 points. Then after the fumble by Jaden Daniels on the botched handoff, a 9-play, 36-yard drive, 3:07 off the clock. Moody, the walk-off game-winning field goal after the fumble. Chicagoland Chevy dealers are your official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. All right, now we're talking about Caleb. How would you grade Caleb Williams' performance yesterday?
I'd probably give him a high C to a low B. I thought he did a good job. I don't want to call him a game manager, but that's what he was, right? He got the ball in his playmakers' hands. And really, that's the team they built around him. That's the team Ryan Poe's built with Swift and Roma Dunza and DJ Moore and Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet and Luther Burden and all these weapons they gave him for their 7-on-7 tournament they're about to win one day. But he did a nice job, I thought, controlling things, Cap, checking him into the right plays. There was that throw to Swift. They noticed the clock was running down, brought Colson Loveland really fast. They knew he had to line up. They couldn't do their regular tempo that they were going to do. I thought, Tom, just managing the stuff that they weren't managing early in the year with penalties and offsides and snap count and motions really, really looked good. And that's what I liked. And then when it was time for him to hit Colson Loveland sitting down in that zone or hit Swift or get the ball out, thought he did a nice job. Now, some of these big plays that he missed, as you guys know, I'm sure, when we play the teams, the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, going to have to hit some of those plays.
Yeah, I think he's so comfortable in what he's doing now. I think his command of the offense is so much better than he was before. I said C, on the radio today, and part of it is because, and maybe it makes me a prick, but been called worse. I've raised the bar for him. I really have, because I've seen so many good things from him, and I've seen the progress. So. When he does the expected, I've always said this, Olin, I got 4 daughters as well. And growing up, I always told them, you don't get extra credit for not doing drugs. That's what's expected. You know what I mean? So there's a lot.
Even though my daughter seems like they do. I don't know. They don't, but it seems like they do. Right?
But the bar is, as he plays and improves and shows progress, I raise the bar.
So, Tom, he's the number 1 pick of the draft. It's okay. Yeah, he's the number 1. Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean.
And they've spent a lot.
You get a C where other guys get an A. That's the way it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not fair, but the first drive, I expect, and Olin described it, it's a beautifully designed play to get Rome free going deep. He's got to see that quickly. He's got to know what the play design is and get the ball down the field. So I feel more comfortable in my own skin nitpicking him at times because my level of respect for him has risen and my bar is higher for him. So while others would, and I'm with you, Olin, he did a really nice job taking what the defense was giving him in a number of situations. But if you're going to take that next step and you're going to be one of the top teams in the NFC going forward, you can't miss that throw on 4th and 1. Right? You can't miss that throw. You can't miss that 2-point conversion. You can't not see the running back wide open on the 2-point conversion. So there's some things that, again, you got to clean up. Nobody's going to be perfect. And I'm not down on him in any way, shape, or form. But, Cap, I would say C performance for him, A for the running game, A for stopping the run.
Cap, just real quick. Can I just real quick on that?
Get extra credit for doing drugs. I would have graduated with a doctorate from Harvard. Go ahead, OG.
Sorry about that, Cap. All you're saying is we're waiting for that shootout that we win because of the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. Last night we won with him, which is fine. You just want to win the football game. That's fine. But you want to win because of your quarterback, and he didn't turn the ball over like Jaden did, right? And then didn't find it funny on the sideline when he did either, so I'll give him credit for that. But I know what Tom is saying, and still waiting for that game where it's like, man, we got ourselves a guy here.
Hey, I got to ask you, you just made a comment that I had on my notes here. So Jaden's sitting on the sidelines. He's already thrown a pick. He's laughing, and Aikman's like, look how calm and relaxed he is, smiling on the sideline. And that meant Caleb, they would have gone bullshit on him.
Cap, you and the Marlboro man are going to be in a fight, man. I don't know what happened with Troy, but you're probably right. I mean, and that just comes with being the Chicago Bears quarterback. That's why you get a guy who's good, and they'll own this city. But I thought the same thing when Jaden was laughing. I mean, a lot of people have said to me today, what in the hell was he laughing about? And I said, I have no idea. But it seemed like him and his quarterback coach are trying to keep it light on the bench. I don't know. They were laughing a lot over there during the game. So, they got their own problems. We got our own problems. But I did find that interesting.
You're going to be given grace, whether you should be or not. He was the NFL Rookie of the Year. He took his team to the NFC title game. We won 5 games last year, right? So I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm just telling you that when you win, you are given more grace. When you lose, the microscope is on you. And that's just, I think that's the way it is. And going back to the thing with Troy, I love Troy and I love his, his commentary. I don't think there's any doubt that Troy believes at this point that Jayden Daniels is the better quarterback. And again, he was the Rookie of the Year last year, and that team went to the NFC title game. I think that Troy's one of these guys, as a Hall of Famer that, when you prove it, I will sing your praises. But until you do, especially if you're a high pick, the bar is going to be high. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just trying to give you a little perspective on, or at least how I saw it. When you win, everybody is going to talk well about you. When you lose and we have put ourselves in this situation. Like, how many games did we win in 4 years leading into this season? We haven't won a road playoff game since my dumb ass was playing. Like, we haven't had consistent success. Until you get over that hump, people are going to talk shit about you.
To your point, Tom, after the win, I was like, I wonder when's the last time they beat a contender. I think it was 2023 versus the Lions. I have to go back and look. But to your point, there has been a lot of losing. And that's what Troy, them, and Buck were saying through the broadcast last night, right? And Cap, just so you know, I heard Troy Aikman has a hell of a left hook, in case you're wondering. If you could take him on.
I've got you to back me up.
I'm retired.
All right, I got to ask you.
And you're never retired.
I think I can answer this for both of you and get it pretty close to word for word accurate, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So we've been playing the shit out of the video of Ben Johnson in the locker room handing out the game balls and wait till we get these penalties cleaned up and then do it better pass till you blah, blah, blah. He's going nuts. Bears on 3. The place goes nuts, and the players look like they're into it. Did that stuff do anything for either of you in the locker room? And if I'm going to answer for you, I would say Olin be like, dude, I just played my ass off interior offensive line. I'm exhausted. I just want to take a shower, grab a beer, get something to eat. Tommy would be like, I'm just happy that I'm upright and we got done with the game. For me, the meatball, it was fucking phenomenal.
This stuff is fun, though, man. It really is. I mean, I never got into it much, but I never minded it either. You got to enjoy the wins. They're hard to come by in the NFL, and that actually builds team, and guys are waiting for it, and most of the guys in there are joking about it, shaking hands. But listen, you work hard. You go to win a football game on the road against a contender like the Commanders, who've poured a ton of money into their offensive line, the left tackle position, to fix the things they thought they had to fix to win the Super Bowl. People think they're Super Bowl contenders, and you pull that win out. Hey, man, celebrate. I would probably be jumping around talking trash, and then, all right, let's knock it off. Let's get on the bus, find a cold beer, and relax.
Yeah, celebrate how you want. I would never tell you that it's the wrong way to do it. It's a different age, too. It's a different era. No problem with it at all. I mean, I could tell you Ditka never had a saying at the end of a win, like he expected to win every time we walked on the field. But it's neither right nor wrong. I mean, 2025 is so much different than when I was in the locker room. So I just want you to win, and I want you to win consistently. And if it means, you're going to reopen Club Dub and you're going to do whatever that stuff, I don't care. Just win. Just win. Just win consistently. Win more than you lose. And then, and this is the other thing. I don't think this team, you have no reason to rest on your laurels. I don't think this coaching staff will allow that. I don't think these players will do that. I don't think they're the most talented team in the National Football League. I think every weekend's going to be a scrap for them, but I don't think they're ever going to let up. I'm really impressed with how hard they play. I think they got the message after the ass kicking against the Lions. And, when you win a game, especially on the road, you do whatever you want to do to celebrate it. That's how I feel.
Our vertical catch of the game, DeAndre Swift's 55-yard touchdown on the out. Caleb hit him, broke a tackle with a little choke the motor down, and bam, 88 out of the gate, 55 yards to the end zone for the touchdown. That is our vertical catch of the game. Vertical in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs, which we bought that. We put that in our house. We had an issue. They came out, corrected all the problems. Verticalchimney.com. The Swift touchdown, you start thinking, they're 8 down. This is going the wrong way. And that could be, in my opinion, if you string a bunch of wins over the next several games, that could be a game-changing, season-changing play. You agree, Olin?
Oh, definitely. And the design was awesome. I'm sure Tom could talk about it more than me, but built the bunch out of the backfield, and they can't do the communication. And bunch is obviously hard to cover, and you got to communicate who's got inside, who's got outside, who locks the head of the bunch. They motion him there real quick, snap the ball, get a nice little rub, and then boom, he makes a good safety miss and goes to the high. And like you're saying, Cap, I'm sitting on my couch saying, how the hell are we +2 down by 8 or 9? Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, how are we down in this game? And we got the interception, and we got Montez cause fumble, to bring Kyler Gordon off the edge, brings Montez free, punches the ball out. We get that ball. I mean, I'm like, we got everything we needed, and we're still losing this game. And then that put us right back in the game because, like you're saying, that it seemed like it was sealed at the moment.
A film told me that you could throw the ball on this Commanders secondary. I thought they were a little undisciplined. And I think there was no interest in tackling. And I think that was another difference between, or something that helped define the game. How many times did you see a Bear? It happened a couple of times, but the number of missed tackles was way down. I thought TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds did a really nice job. I thought it takes a lot of discipline, I think, to defend a team like the Commanders and how they run. At no time did I ever see that read option get the best of the Bears. Now, you may talk about, Adangbo not being the world's greatest pass rusher. I thought he was very disciplined in how he played the run. Thought the same thing existed for Sweat. Thought it was really interesting how they moved Shamar Turner to the outside and played him out on the edge at times. I just thought it was as disciplined of a defensive performance as I've seen in a really long time. And I guess the reason I'm going there is because I compare it to what I saw from the Commanders, and I didn't think there was any interest in bringing DeAndre Swift down. Like, that was a horseshit effort by their defensive player, and I'm sure that Dan Quinn is not really happy on the film session seeing what he did. Didn't see that from the Bears team. I thought they did a great job tackling. Thought they did a great job doing what they were asked to do. Discipline was there, and I think it was a big difference in the game.
Oh, and 22 tackles by the two linebackers, Edmonds and Edwards. That was a huge help getting Edwards back in that lineup.
I thought so, man. And we talked about, I think a couple of weeks ago on this podcast, that if we could, we'd move Jonathan Ford off the practice squad, put Javon Dexter at 3 and start Billings at nose guard. And because of the injury to Grady Jarrett, that happened, right? And they got bigger in the middle there. And then you put TJ Edwards there. And Tom knows this, man. If you get a guy in the middle who aligns everybody and tells everybody what may be coming by formation, situation, down and distance, motion, the run's coming here, okay? And it's funny because if you watch Tremaine Edmonds, everyone's always played him at Mike, but it almost freed him up to just play because TJ Edwards now is making all the calls, calling everybody where to line up. And I mean, he never gives the offense an inch. Not yesterday. I have to watch it more as this goes on. But they never got leverage on our defense because with their motions and when they go double tight end and they go tackle over and create extra gaps, he moved the defense over nicely, let everybody know where they should be. And when you can line up and not give away leverage to the offense, you can play the run. And I thought them like Tom talked, Shamar Turner outside, I thought he did better at DN. He was getting rolled off at the 3 technique. Javon Dexter, to me, better 3 technique than nose guard. Billings and Jonathan Ford, although Jonathan Ford almost killed Noah Sewell. Thank God he's all right. But really, and funny, they didn't even give Hippolyte a jersey last night, right? They got the Thomas kid playing linebacker there for the young linebacker. They just got bigger and more physical, and that's what we're talking about. What is repeatable on film on the road? What's kicking someone's ass? Kicking someone's ass, running the ball and stopping the run, to me, that's repeatable.
Yeah, and Olin, I think, again, I go to the coaching staff. Like, what was different? They made the necessary adjustments. I give Dennis Allen a ton of credit. Like, he knows he's playing with a hand that, maybe not be as strong as some of the other teams, but yet he found a way. I also would bring up, late in that game is when you finally saw the Bears put pressure on Jaden Daniels. And I think because you're not going to win a lot of one-on-one battles with the group they have, a lot of it's scheme. And that's where coaches are really, really, really important. And, I thought that all of them deserved a lot of credit. They went into the bye. They knew they needed to clean up some things. They had a little extra time to get ready for this Commanders team. And it always starts with players because it's a players' league. But I thought the coaches did a really good job putting guys in position to make plays that they could.
Last one.
I do want to mention one more guy, Captain Tom. Dominic Robinson has gotten home a few times now with some nice hand fighting and slants and beating guys and beating very decent tackles. So just a guy to watch, and we're looking for more pressure to add. Hopefully someone can bring a little more pressure with Montez Sweat, but a guy that I think has been showing up on film for me a little more every week.
All right,
and my hope is that when Booker's healthy, he can do some of the same stuff, give him a little energy.
Before we talk about New Orleans real quick, your thoughts on Montez Sweat, because that looked like that dude was a different player last night. Hey, I'm back in Washington. F these guys. Olin talked about it. He stripped that one fumble out, and I thought he nearly got home a few times.
Mm-hmm. I think he's been nearly getting home in a lot of games that I've been watching. Like if you go back to the Tyreek Stevenson interception against, I think it was the Raiders there, he's pressuring Geno Smith. That's the problem, though, right now, is to me, he looks just a step too slow every time. Like he can't finish like he did. And I think it was 2023. Funny thing is, I went back and tried to compare some of the film and what could be different, what could not be different. But this may be nitpicking, but this staff seems to have him in a 4-point stance, a little more square, whereas Eberflus them had him like a sprinter stance, gain up the field, 3-point stance, standing up sometimes. So they might want to play with some of that if they can't get the production out of Montez. Tom, I'm a very simple guy. If you're not playing well, I go back to when you were playing well and I say, well, what's your body weight here, right? Were you benching? What were you squatting? Why did you change your stance? Can we tilt you? Can we get you standing up? How can we get you going again?
Yeah. No, I thought, at the very least, I thought he was more active. I thought everyone was engaged. You paying him $100 million. Like, I got to get you out there every week and you got to be making a difference, So whatever it's going to take. It is odd, too. Like, I don't recall seeing so many. I mean, Olin, back in the day, were all of the defensive ends in 4-point stances? I mean, it looked kind of weird and unusual to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this defensive staff likes that. Like, they go in and out of like a penetrating and a 2-gap. Yeah. So they change back and forth. I think some of that is what Billings might have been struggling with early on, too. They took him out of that tilt that Eberflus likes to play, and they turned them square and just take them on and keep guys off the linebackers. But to be fair, last night, they seem to get better. Some of it now, guys, was with Kyler Gordon back there, bringing him off the edge, which was setting Montez underneath on a stunt. And that was bringing him free with Kyler Gordon threatening off the edge. So having all their pieces back, TJ Edwards, Kyler Gordon, just kind of added to what they were doing last night. Now, there wasn't a ton of pressure, right, last night. And even on Brisker's interception, there was nobody around the quarterback. And it was 2nd and 5. It was just a terrible throw by Jaden Daniels.
All right, before we get you guys out of here, Bears, Saints at Soldier Field. That's a game you have to find a way. You have to have that game if you've got designs on getting to the playoffs in your building against a team that you're frankly better than. That is absolutely a must-win football game. Your guys' thoughts on that?
I agree with that totally. I don't think there will be a letdown from this team. If for whatever reason they don't reach what your expectation level is on a given Sunday, I think it's going to be that maybe they just aren't as talented as a lot of people think. I think they'll be well coached. I think they'll be prepared to play. I just don't think that this team is able to show up on Sunday, throw their helmet out there and just beat people. I think every Sunday is going to be a dogfight. I think the Saints can be, you should beat them, no doubt about it. You're a better football team, but they can be a bit frisky, and I think they've played better the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I would just tell this team, show up every Sunday and bring your best, because you're not at that level of some of the upper echelon teams that you can take a Sunday off and still get a dub.
That's well said. I'm really interested to see what the Chicago Bears are when they're not +3 or +4, right? And if the New Orleans Saints flip that and they go +3, they can very easily lose this game. So really was excited to see them on the road against a contender after what happened with the Lions. And they showed me something, Tom, like I said, repeatable, stopping the run and running the football. Now, until I don't see this +3 and +4, to be honest, I don't really know what they are right now, because when you're +3 and +4 and you only win by 1, I got to go back and wonder why you've only won by 1. So I'm sure the Saints are turning the film on and saying what Tom is saying, like, look, these guys are on a roll, but they're not unbeatable.
Yeah.
Tommy, your predicted score.
Wow, it's early. What is it, Tuesday?
Yeah, Bears are 5.5-point favorite.
I think the Bears win this game. Look, the offense works. They're averaging 25 points per game and 330 yards. So I'll say 27-20 Bears win the game. How about 27-23 is what I'll give you.
Wow, closer than I expect. I've got the Bears winning the football game 31-17.
Drunk on the Kool-Aid, Cap. There you go, man. Be fighting Troy Aikman, got him blowing people out. Cap, man, huh?
Dr. Pepper.
I know what happened. Somebody gave you that UCL information. Now you got to give him a couple extra nuggets in there. I know what that is. There you go. There you go, Cap. It's the only way you get information. That's why I get none. No one likes me up at Hallis Hall.
Wow. You turned a big paying job down up there. $15 an hour, man.
They see me work before. They're like, give that guy $15.
You guys all know. How many they win by doesn't give it.
Doesn't care, man. Brian Urlacher had
great teams cover.
Brian Urlacher had a great saying. He said, "Win by 1, win by 100. I still kicks your ass."
Yeah, amen.
All that matters. Olin, your biggest key to the game, or two?
I mean, I'd like to see. I think we got to continue to stop the run, right? With Alvin Kamara coming to town and their struggles of their New Orleans Saints. You don't want to let them get that run game going and start to control the game. So I want to see that run defense show up again.
All right.
They've got a couple of good pass rushers too out on the edge, so you got to protect your quarterback as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, make some plays. You guys, thank you for your time again tonight. Next Tuesday, we are in Orland Park at Hooters. It'll be me, Tommy, and Alex Brown. So come see us for Studio 41 Football Recap live from the Orland Park Hooters. For Tommy, for Olin, for our great crew here, I'm Cap. Appreciate you greatly. Bear the hell down. Take that. Studio 41 Football Recap Live is brought to you by Studio 41 Home Design Showroom. 13 locations, studio41.com. Vertical, in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Verticalchimney.com. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons.
Our family had been talking about redoing the kitchen for a long time. Studio 41 had all the pieces I wanted.
With Studio 41, we found their prices competitive. They helped us stay on a budget.
They spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I got to touch and feel things.
Our big fear was if you go online, who's standing behind the product? Studio 41 had the best selection, and they took her ideas and brought it to life.
It was everything I dreamed it could be.
Visit studio41.com to find a showroom near you.
Okay, we're just here for dishwashers.
Just a dishwasher.